High School. I'm here to speak on behalf of the book A Place Inside of Me by Zetta Elliot. I would like to take a second to reflect on the fact that nowhere in the book A Place Inside of Me are there vulgar, obscene, or explicit depictions, and that just because all of us have different experiences and backgrounds doesn't make something worth censoring or taking out of classrooms. In fact, it should be just the opposite, because students should be exposed to different cultures and backgrounds early on in order to foster understanding and build connections with classmates. We cannot continue to deny the perspectives of minorities simply because we cannot relate and have not experienced these events ourselves. There are children as young or younger than 6 that have been through, been affected by, or witnessed the hatred in this country. And this book provides a way for them and their peers to understand and come to terms with it in a book meant for children. We are certainly foolish if we really believe that by removing a book from a school's library, it will dampen a child's curiosity. The author, Zetta Elliot, writes, "Sometimes the students themselves need to remind adults that the purpose of education is to invite, not prevent, the curiosity that can sometimes cause discomfort." I'm 17 years old, and I shouldn't have to stand up here on a Tuesday night pleading for books in schools against adults that are acting like children. I fear that soon it will be extremely difficult for marginalized communities in all levels of education to access books with diverse and inclusive themes and values. It starts with this book, but I ask you, what's next? It's very difficult to grow up in a world without representation. As a queer woman, I definitely understand what it's like to grow up in a school or community that doesn't always provide access to differing narratives from minorities. I know what it's like to be curious. I know what it's like to have to seek information out for myself. Honestly, this lack of exposure was more harmful to me than helpful, and it created a lot of confusion later in life. Often in schools, it feels like we learn from a single perspective that limits the other perspectives of colored, disabled, queer, and disempowered people. The actual complaint reads, "There is nothing good about this book." However, this book portrays love, hope, unity, and forgiveness. These themes are quite the opposite of the, quote, book that promotes racism, anger, and division. This leads me to ask exactly what is wrong with this book. Is it the fact that it sheds light on people of color and the struggles that they have faced living in America? Is it the fact that it discusses modern events that elementary-age children have already been exposed to through TV, news, or elsewhere? Is it the fact that the book mentions the Black Lives Matter movement, a movement that gives hope and spreads love to a minority within our country and is certainly not a known terrorist organization as the complaint filer refers to it? With that said, I ask you to reflect on how exactly a book about unity, kindness, acceptance, and personal growth is in any way bad or promoting division. If we have reached a point in society where the mere mention of conflict or difference in schools is viewed as political, we have much bigger problems in this community than a children's book in a library. In the end, it comes down to your decision. A decision that will ultimately pave the way for future book banning decisions. A decision that will decide if children will have the ability to view the many perspectives of the world, and a decision that will affect the future generations that grow up in Sumner County. This is not a decision to ever be taken lightly, and I beg of you to show that an argument founded on white supremacy that attacks a book empowering different cultures will not be listened to or accepted in this community or our schools. Thank you for your time.